All right, welcome to another episode of the Couch Coaches podcast where we talk about everything going on in sports. And it is obviously a monster week for football fans and especially for 49ers fans and also some Chiefs fans. So to do for this episode, because it is the one right before the Super Bowl and the Niners are playing and we're playing the Chiefs, and I have one question. And the question is, how are the 49ers going to beat the Chiefs? And I'm asking only this one question because even though the Niners are favored, I don't, as a Niners fan, I don't know how you have the Niners favored over the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid and the level of comfort that they seem to have in these big game situations, the level of success they have in these big game situations. So I just, for my soul, how are the Niners going to beat the Chiefs? Brother Bill, I'm going to start with you.
The Niners have to beat the Chiefs in three ways. Number one, they have to win the rushing statistic. Kansas City, in their wins, they've rushed the ball on average almost 30 times a game. In the playoffs, throughout the Ravens game, because that was the outlier, but against Miami and against Buffalo, they were running the ball 30 times, averaging over almost 6 yards a carry. The 49ers have to match that and do better. They have to control the ball, and they have to make sure that Isaiah Pacheco doesn't become the difference in the game because he's the key to the Chiefs' running game. The second thing the 49ers have to do is they have to either win the turnover battle or be even, because the Kansas City's defense is better than the 49ers defense. The third thing that the 49ers have to do is, I believe they're going to need a lead in the fourth quarter because the possessions are going to be fewer in between normally in Super Bowls unless there's freak turnovers. Each team, I've seen this historically, maybe gets the ball twice in a quarter. And so they're going to need that one possession cushion in the fourth quarter.
All right, Deacon Hill, you have I'm very interested in your perspective on this because one, Kansas City's in your division, so you see them a lot. Like you really know this team. And two, well, maybe three things. Two, you think they're going to win, and three, you don't want the Niners to win. So I'm very interested to hear like what your thoughts on what the Niners have to do to beat this Chiefs team on Sunday.
You're very biased. I didn't say any of that last week. I said I wanted the Niners to win. So how did you spin that all the way around?
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. All right, yeah. Okay. I take
I will say
under normal circumstances, you would want the Niners to lose the game. I got okay.
And it's a hard decision. The only reason I don't want the Chiefs to win, I told you, because they're in our division and I can't stand the Chiefs a little bit more than I can't stand the Niners. but it's going to be a tall order, though, just to kind of like piggyback on Brother Bill. First of all, I was listening to a stat today that the Chiefs are 10-1 when they score first. So you guys need to get out to a fast start. You don't want Kansas City to score and then put more pressure on your young quarterback. And Bill talked about turnovers. The Chiefs don't turn the ball over. Mahomes don't turn the ball over. So that's going to be a tall order to try to get, and your defense has been, saving you guys, creating turnovers. So trying to win that turnover battle is going to be a tall order for you guys. But of course, you guys have to run the ball, and you guys, some kind of way, you're going to have to generate pressure on Mahomes. You're going to have to get that. If you ever needed Chase Young and Bosa to show up, this is the game. They got to play their lives and lights out for this game and make Mahomes just uncomfortable and make hopefully that he's rushing the ball and he's not having enough time to throw the ball to his receivers and things like that. But it's going to be a tough order to do, and I wish you guys would do it, but it's the more I think about it, and to beat Mahomes and to beat that team, it's going to be tough. But that's why you know what I was thinking about today too, though. You guys earned that right, and Kansas City earned that right. So this is going to be a great game. I'm getting excited just to watch a great football game. I think it's going to be a great game with two great teams matching up. And you were talking about, Joe. You said you don't know why the Niners are favored. I was looking at the stats today. they beat Kansas City in almost all the categories for, the major categories. Even Purdy got better passing yards than Mahomes. So yeah, you guys, your stat on paper, you guys are beating them on paper.
Yeah. So yeah, paper for sure. My thing is, so the Niners are, I think they're the only team that's been favored in every single game for an entire season up through the Super Bowl, ever. They got 20 games in a row. Is there another team? Brother Bill?
No, I was going to say, I think what you have to understand is that's a betting line. They set that for the purpose of betting. It's not an indicator of who should win the game. The reason why you set the betting line is so that there's action on both sides. The Niners, they're the betting favorite, but I can tell you, in my opinion, they are not the favorite to win the game. They have to outplay Kansas City and outcoach Kansas City to beat that Kansas City team. It has nothing to do with the weapons the Niners have offensively. It's just, if you look at both teams coaching and just what they are and what they do well, the Niners have to outplay and outcoach Kansas City. I believe that Kansas City is the favorite to win. The betting is just, again, that's just all for the gamblers.
Yeah, well, okay, and then the stats this year. I mean, the reason people were down on Kansas City at the beginning is because of their stats this year. Because it seemed to take them a long time to really figure out what they're doing. And when did they figure it out? Well, when did champions figure it out? They figure it out in the playoff when they have to. So it's like, since the playoffs started, the two teams have gone like this. They're like in opposite directions. The Niners, oh, we're gonna destroy Packers. Barely beat the Packers. Okay, well, we just a fluke. We're at a couple weeks off. No big deal. We're gonna destroy the Lions. Barely beat the Lions. And the Chiefs, the Miami game is like, I don't even care what the line was in the Miami game. When you take a team from Miami and put them in minus 20 degrees, it's a tough game. But the Bills going in and beating the Bills at home, even though the Bills have their coaching issues and quarterback, Favrean type issues. But what they did to Baltimore, granted, Baltimore didn't run. Granted, Baltimore kind of stepped on their own feet and stuff with the penalties and that. But my goodness, nobody's done that to Baltimore. Or maybe Baltimore had a hand in doing it themselves, but that was really impressive. So I feel like the Chiefs have been really impressive and the Niners have been really unimpressive. And the only thing that one of the only kind of saving graces for me for the Niners going into this is, one, their defensive line has not played well, which means we have nothing on tape of us playing well, which I think is good, especially in the whatever, like the first quarter, because you don't know exactly what we're going to do. Something has to be different. Our defense has been chewed up, but the weapons that we've had to go against between the Packers and the Lions are much better weapons, perimeter weapons, than the Chiefs have. The difference is the Chiefs have Mahomes and Kelsey, and it's a lot. I feel better about this Super Bowl, our chances of winning this one, better than I do the last one, because last one was Kansas City, super high flying, greatest show on turf part 2, kind of an offense. And up until 7 minutes left in the game, things were looking pretty good. But I have a very hard time, and I hate that. I would love to be confident, go, hey, the Niners are going to go in and beat them. We're going to get rings. Man, Mahomes is I think he's the GOAT. I mean, I think he is. I mean, if he's not now, he's going to be. He just seems to be unflappable in the situations where you want him to be flappable. I mean, I really want him to be flappable on Sunday.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. And
right.
I slept on Kansas City's defense. I didn't think I had slept on them all season, and they have really showed me something. And you were saying about your defense. I think Baltimore showed you, put a lot of stuff out there for a lot of teams to see when they played you guys. And it kind of exposed you guys, your weaknesses and things like that. And a lot of teams, I was telling you guys, a lot of teams are using that same blueprint. And Kansas City has the defense to do that also. So this game, it's gonna be a great game. I'm not gonna take anything from the Niners. You guys have the weapons to do it. and Purdy has the heart to do it. I mean, he ain't gonna go down without a fight. So I think it's gonna be a great game.
Yeah, I believe that so I also get the stats from the Bills Chiefs playoff game. The Bills, they had better stats in most of the categories, 27 first downs to 21. The Bills were 7 for 14 on third down, which is your money down. Kansas City was only 1 for 5. The Bills had 78 total plays to 47 for Kansas City. Yardage was almost even, about 360 something. Total drives, 9 for Kansas City, 8 for the Bills. Passing, Chiefs had 215, Bills had 186. Here's the stat that stood out though, rushing. The Bills rushed 39 times for $182. The Chiefs only rushed 24 for 146. But there was one turnover. Chiefs committed the turnover. The Bills won in time of possession, 37-23, yet they still lost by 3. So as well as the Bills played in key categories, and that still wasn't enough to beat the Chiefs. So you take this Niners team, it tells me that they need an effort even better than that. If the 49ers, I wanted to say that the magic number was 30 points, but unless there's turnovers, I think it would be a challenge for the Niners to get 30 points on the Chiefs defense, unless again that there's turnovers or some big special teams play where they get great field position, something like that. And I'm saying this as a diehard Niner fan. I just look at what I see, and Deacon Hill is right. Not impossible, but you have to play your best game, really. And having not done that in the previous 2 games until late, that's a concern for me. If you get out of the gate slow, it's going to be a long haul up.
The one thing that I think is nicer about getting out slow versus the Kansas City team there's nothing good about getting out slow. Let me make that clear. But if we have a slower start, their offense is not the offense of the Packers and the Lions. Those offenses I think are much more explosive in the beginning. I think especially the Lions with their running game and the Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they may be able to air it out and stuff. I think they can jump on you much faster. I think even if Kansas City has a fast start, it's 10 points. It's not 27 points. And I think the Chiefs, it's that end of the game thing where it's almost like when the Bengals beat the Chiefs to go to the Super Bowl, and you're watching and you're like, okay, the Chiefs are going to win. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, the Bengals won. I feel like that's it's like almost like how you have to beat them. Cause I feel like you almost have to kind of like sneak up on them, because I feel the Chiefs probably will do this better than the Patriots did, but the Patriots, they had a lot of very close Super Bowls. I mean, they got a lot of rings, but there's a lot of close ones. I mean, the wins and losses, and they were able to just do it. Like no matter what you did, they were able to just do enough more and just get the ball in the field goal range, or just get the defense to. It was millimeters, and I feel like Kansas City has the ability to do that. So if we give them the situation where they can just do enough, I think they'll do enough. And I think you have to we have to have the ball last, and that actually goes in perfectly, Brother Bill, with your point of we need a lead in the 4th. We need to be the team that's not letting them have the ball, and 37 seconds left in the game, and Mahomes just goes dink right down the field and they score a touchdown. We don't need that like heartbreak kind of a thing.
I don't think you guys need to score a whole lot of points. They only scored 17 points last week, in a week before in the playoff game against the Ravens. They only put up 17 points. So I don't, they can be held to like you said, they don't move they're not very explosive. They just make the timely drives and the timely situations and stuff. So I don't think you guys got to say, we got to put up 30 points to win this game. 20 points, 24 points probably could win the game for you guys. Your defense got to step up. I was laughing the other day. They asked Nick Bosa, I don't know if you guys heard, they go, what do you think about the Kansas City's offensive line? And he says, oh, they hold a lot. So I'm like, I don't know if that's billboard material, or he's just like, hey, or he's letting the refs know, hey, look, because these guys are gonna be holding me. So I don't know.
It was pretty rough in the last Super Bowl. There was some pretty rough holds. Sure, but then they have that all the time in Super Bowls.
He said, the way I look at it, Yeah, and that's the way. As long as the calls are consistent. I mean, there's going to be some that are missed. I mean, but it's all I think as a fan, as a sports fan, you just want it to be consistent on both sides. That's all. I mean, again, my concern is fourth quarter, Mahomes have a chance to win the game. I don't know if I can watch because he's done it before. The team's done it before. If it comes back to that running game, something you mentioned earlier about not having to put up, a lot of points. Kansas City, if with that running game, if they're controlling the game, then that I believe that puts pressure on Kyle Shanahan to say, the next time we get the ball, we've got to do something. So I'm hoping that, unlike Baltimore, that he stays, he sticks with the running game and not abandon it. I mean, there's going to be points where if there's obvious passing situations, they give the mismatch, that's fine. But the running game is the Niners' offense. That sets up their offense. Is to be able to, and Deacon Greg, you said it weeks ago, ball control, run the ball. I just believe that's their best formula because Kansas City's their pass defense is no joke. And you get Chris Jones on the edge, and he can wreck a game if you let him.
I tell you guys this also. I would say, whatever you guys do, don't let Kelsey beat you guys. Whatever you guys do, you guys got to make that your priority. I don't know how teams do that. They sit back, they notice this is this guy's number one target, and especially at clutch time, he's going to him short, third and short, or third. It's going to Kelsey. That guy would not be beating me. I'm gonna have to put two guys on him, and chip him at the line, and then you have another guy pick him up or something. He's not going to beat me, and that's what you guys need to focus. Don't let him beat you.
Right.
I know one thing, and this is what they did against Baltimore, and for sure they're going to do it against us, is they had a very traditional West Coast offense. It was a lot of short passes, a lot of running, just drain the clock. But when they're draining the clock, they're also completely draining the defense's energy. And I think if you can get Bosa a little more tired, you have a much better chance in the fourth quarter to do something amazing than if he's fresh. So I'm expecting long drives. I'm expecting a lot of safe passes. I don't think he's going to try to do too much. I don't think they're going to try to air it out. So I don't know if we need to put pressure on him by trying to score some points. Like I think if Kittle and Debo have big games, I think we'll win the game. Because if they can contain those two, because like Kittle's the guy that gets the big fat chunk yardages, and then Debo's the guy that gets the pass air yardages, and then Debo's the guy that gets the short passes and lots of yards. If those two guys have big games, we're doing something right. Jennings is picking up big third downs. We're doing something right. I feel like Ayuk is more of a use him to stretch the field out more. I mean, if he has a big game, great. But I feel like if it seems like when Kittle's on and when Debo's on, we're pretty hard to handle. So I'm hoping it's centered a lot around and obviously, I mean, McCaffrey's going to get the ball 40 times.
Well, he may get it 40, but if I'm Kansas City, he's the first guy I try to take away.
Yeah, but one positive thing is Kansas City's run defense has not been great, but it's the Super Bowl. It's Spagnuolo. They know their run defense isn't great. We know their run defense isn't great. I'm sure it'll be much better in the Super Bowl, which is why the Super Bowl is so awesome, because you just get the best of the best, fine tuning all the little things, and then they come out, and Super Bowl's almost always a surprise.
What you guys need to watch out for, I was hearing they was talking about the Kansas City coach. They do a lot of trick plays all the time. Like they say, most teams wait till like the fourth quarter to start pulling tricks out of the bag. Kansas City will do that real early. So you guys got to be on, watching out for all, because they'll try to throw you off on some kind of play that you'd be like, where'd that come from? So watch out for the trick plays, because they'll pull them out at any minute.
That crazy Kelsey play in the Bills game they got called back. Oh, or that ring around the rosy thing they did to you guys. God,
it's coaching. I mean, like I said, Kyle versus the Spagnuolo, Reed versus Steve Wilks. It's a chess match, and the player's going to do what they're going to do executing. But it's going to be. Deacon Greg is right. It should be a good game, and the team that has enough to finish it off, they're going to be the ones to get it done.
Do you think the final score will have both teams under 30 or over 30?
I would say under 30.
But in the 20s?
Or I would say in the, because to me, 20s, is each team going to score 3 touchdowns against the other one? That's the first question, right? Because that gets you 21, right? Anything less than that means you need field goals. That's an extra possession. I just look at it. If you figure each team is going to have maybe 8 to 9 drives in the whole game, how many of those, what combination of those can get to 30? Sure, you can get to 4 touchdowns. Is that likely? I would say probably not. I say in the mid-20s. That's giving you maybe a couple of touchdowns, and if it's a bunch of field goals, it's a bunch of field goals. But I'm putting both teams in the 20s.
I see it a same way. Yeah, like I say, they only put up 17 in the championship game, on the AFC championship game, and like you guys just do what you need to do to win. So that's Purdy. He's just going to do what he does to win. So I don't see a whole lot of in the 30s. I don't see that. So,
and if it comes down to a Nick Moody basically extra point, and they're tied to win the game, then I'll take that. I'm okay with that if that's to put them over the top in a tie game. If they're trailing and he needs a 40-plus yarder to win it, I don't know.
Dude, Moody in any situation, I got the defibrillator charged because that dude. I mean,
come on, it's indoors. He ain't gonna miss it.
Sure, but I mean, to be fair, he's a rookie, right? It's not the thing, about both him and Purdy. There's so much, comparison to talk. Purdy doesn't even have 2 full seasons, and all the comparisons early on we talked about it, comparing him with Joe Montana, all these other. I mean, he's 1 year, 2 years in,
and he's 24. So, he's a baby,
and he's 24. So, but Mahomes was. I mean, he got to his Super Bowl in his second year, so not like we haven't seen it before.
And really, he
wasn't Mr. Irrelevant, though.
Correct.
and really, he should have gotten there the first year. I mean, if
right.
Ford's not offsides, that ball still gets picked off, whether he's offsides or not, and he's in the
right.
and probably beats the Rams. Probably wins that.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm super excited, but I'm also like, it's so like it's one of those good problems, but it's like, I care. It's stupid. I care too much. So
teams just have to relax. Once you're all amped up, and you hear about this championship games, right? You're all amped up, a lot of energy early, and then at some point the teams and the coaches just settle into the game, and then it becomes more of football. I mean, it's still a Super Bowl, it's still a championship, but if you can get the nerves out of the way, the team that gets the nerves out earliest, it just makes it easier for them. We saw that. I mean, you see a lot of national championship games, right? So it's just the nature of big sports on the big stage.
Well, I would say as a fan, it ain't about your nerves. You guys should be fired up. Your team is going to the Super Bowl. Your team's in the Super Bowl, so you guys should be fired up and ready to go. And hey, you pulling for your team. That's what you do. That's where everybody starts out in the beginning of the season, talking about they getting to the Super Bowl, and you guys are there. You guys should be fired up right now, ready to go.
So we need to make sure our defensive line's fired up too, because
it's going to be interesting to see just in the fans. Like I said, it's more of a corporate event, but it's going to be interesting to see during the course of the game if there's a sense of either team having more of a field advantage in terms of the crowd noise. It'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, the Niners do travel well, and Silicon Valley's got money. I could see the Niners having a better presence at the game. I'm sure in Vegas. I'm sure it's wild in Vegas right now with all the
and you guys are much closer. I mean, you're right down the street.
Right. Well, yeah. Well, we will see. Game's going to be played.
All right, we will discuss the what happened on Sunday. We'll discuss it next Tuesday. Thank you guys very much, and we will see you.
Well, if the Niners do win, would the Niners parade be on Tuesday?
That's a good point. I got Deacon Hill's seat right next to me at the parade. Probably
if the parade is on Tuesday in the city, and it's I plan on going. I know it's during the day, but the rest of my day I would be up there, and I might not be home until late. So we'll deal with that.
So I hope we have to bump this show to Wednesday next
week. Exactly.
Let's go Wednesday. All right. We'll see you guys all next Wednesday.
All right.